All right, so how's it going? So I know there's a few videos out there. They're pretty good, actually. I've only found, I think, two. One was good, one was okay. I need to rebuild my cruise control unit. It's not letting off when you hit it. It was too weak and it wasn't pulling. Part of that was the cable and the chain, which I do got to get a new chain. And the second thing is when you hit the cruise control, it will continuously speed up. Now these cruise controls are not as accurate as modern day ones, but it'll speed up. Say you set it at 55, he'll speed up to like 57 and 58, and then it will slow down to maybe, usually 57. 2 miles up, maybe a mile or two under, unless it's a real steep incline, and then you're going to want to probably give it a little bit of gas. But at least that's been my history on them. But anyhow, so your speedometer cable screws in right here, and the big one, and then this one goes to the transmission. Now, back when I was a teen, mine would jump real bad on the speedometer. If you got on it real hard, the speedometer would drop out and stop working. You'd have to unscrew them and put them back in, because in here it was slipping. It was either here or the gears were slipping. And I never did take it apart and fix it. But I did fix a few others that I had. So, I'm going to start. First thing you want to do when taking this apart, this is clocked in there. These screw holes are adjustable. So I always add a mark on each of them so I can put it exactly back where it was at. I might have to fine tune it some, but not much. And all that does is tell the cruise control when it can start actually cruise controlling. You're supposed to be around 20-25 miles an hour before it engages. There's a way to get rid of that, but that's what it's actually, it doesn't want you to engage it below that. So you undo those two screws and this pulls directly out. Now this one is pretty slimy on the inside, so we'll clean that up and add some grease in there. We'll go through this side of it first. So you got, let me get some cleaner and spray some of that off. Wow, that's really stuck on there. Sorry about that. All right, so this side here, you have this little notch here. This thing here does two things. This little tab here, if you look in here, you will see like an old point system right here. I'm moving it with my finger barely. That part right there, that is what notifies it that you're doing above 20-25 miles an hour. So when you get above 25 miles per hour or 20, it reaches up and it barely touches that and it pulls those points apart. That then tells this it can turn on. Okay, that's what that little notch is right there. That's all it does. This part of it, the rest of it, does something totally different. It goes in between these two arms right here. Now, when this is energized, I already built a new filter for it. I used a sponge to build it, because every one of these, when you take them apart, that filter there, it's like a sponge, is going to be dry rotted and gone. So when you energize this thing, it sucks this magnet, which sucks this plunger up. When it does that, you can see those two prongs right here and here. You can see them sucking in. When they suck in, they're grabbing this wheel. Now this wheel is set up, this is spring here, that little bolt undoes it. It doesn't have any tension in it right now, so it's not going to fling everywhere. But I'm still not going to undo it because I don't need to. But this comes apart. That's a magnet. Inside there is your gears that need to be greased. And there's a gear here, and there's a gear directly below it. One for this one and one for this one. And they just touch each other. They spin this magnet. This magnet builds friction on this and will grab this whole unit and spin it. Now when it's spinning it, it will allow this to overcome, and that is gummed up. Let me try to spray some of that out. All right, much better. So with this in there, when it sets in there, it just pops down. Okay. When these are spinning, you can see it still spins, and the magnet on the back side is spinning. The springs hold it in place. When it gets set on speed, it will allow the spring to tense up so tight, and then it will allow this to slip in between those two prongs. And that's what's holding your speed. Okay, the next thing is with this pushed in, if you look right here at this little slide thing, see how it's moving? Okay. This allows it to move it based on your speed, and it will move it back and forth. That, if you look up in there on, I'm sorry, the camera isn't that good. If you look up in there on this green thing right there, on that rod, there's a hole right there. With this over, it seals it off. That hole leads to this. That's your return for your vacuum. So when you're needing to increase in speed, it's over this way, and it's got the hole clogged off. And then when you get up to speed and it needs to slow down, it slides over and it releases some of the vacuum back into the dump valve and the power brakes, which then will allow your car to slow back down. So that's all that does, slide back and forth. So if you got a problem and you set cruise control and it just keeps going, more than likely this is clogged up. It's not allowing the thing to blow off, which is what I found on this one. On these two vacuums, this is your main vacuum in, and this is your other return vacuum. So, and I think if I remember correctly, this one here goes either this one or this one. When you hit your brakes, causes back pressure, and that's what shuts your brakes off, or cruise control off. And there's also one other thing I need to show. That's another hole that you need to look at. It's right up in here. There's a hole right there. When this is engaged, there's a little white plunger in there. It slides up, and that blocks that off. When it's down, it allows vacuum to come in this main one, come in here, and return. And it's a constant flow. And that's what keeps it from sucking in the plunger and setting your cruise control. Once you set cruise, it blocks that off, which is blocking this one off, which is causing vacuum to go into here. And that's what's sucking that bag in to set your speed. And then when it gets too fast, it releases here because that bag will suck in too far and it'll release the throttle out, and then it'll bring it back and release the throttle out. So that's how that works. Well, that's the basic concept on it. That's all I had to do on this one. Thank God it wasn't the gear stripped out like mine was when I was a teen. It was just the blow-off valve there was clogged up. And the cables need to be replaced. If you ever have one of these in your car and it goes to crap and you're like, well, shit, I don't even want it. It's easy. If you unscrew this one right here, this cable should be long enough. Take this cable completely out. It'll run from here to the transmission. This cable should be long enough, because usually these are towards the radiator support, that this cable will reach all the way down to your transmission. You ain't got to pull the dash or anything. Unscrew this, run it down to your transmission. It will screw directly into your transmission. This is the same fitting of what's on a lot of the speedometer clusters. Not all of them. Most of them, factory, is like this. It's got this little spring right here that holds the cable in. So you pull this down, you slide in your cable, and this flips up and it holds it on. It's not threaded at all. But a good portion of them is also threaded. But your cable, this end, that's all this is the same threads as what's on your transmission. And then your transmission, your one from here to the transmission's threaded on both ends. So, and that's basically it. To put it back together, you just line that hole up inside there. Turn around the right way. I always make sure that this is faced a little bit this way, because you want it on this side of that little points tab. So I make sure it's on this side. I put it on, and then I'll just turn it. That's it. Put screws back in it, line it back up on its marks. This one will need a little bit of grease added back into it. And she'll be good to go. Which this one, like I said, I've already done most of this one. I'm gonna soak it, probably paint it, clean it up, get it back to that good looking metal from all this rust and everything. I don't like taking something off and then putting it back on and it looking, well, like it's never been touched and like crap. And this will eventually rust through. So, oh, another thing on this here, make sure there's a piece of cardboard gasket here. It actually insulates this from grounding out to a wire that's on the inside. Make sure that that's good. If not, just get some cardboard and cut out a new one, or some gasket maker and cut out a new one, put it back in. Anyhow, comment, share, like. Thanks for watching.